Hi guys, Andy and Spoken Label, the amazing Margot McMahon. Straight over to Margaret now. She's going to do some bits from her books for us. Over to you.
I'd like to share with you a little bit from Mac and Irene, a World War II saga, about Dad flying out on his 16th mission from Molesworth, England, where he was a navigator in a different group of men in a plane called Red. Red was hit in the bomb bay. Smoke filled the plane. The instrument panel was covered with smoke and frost. The pilot, Jack Rose, turned Red out of formation. Anoxia took effect. Fatigue and exhaustion permeated the crew. Mac remembered his training. Breathe, relax, keep your wits about you. Red took a hit under the chin turret. Ammunition exploded. Smoke and howling wind filled the cockpit. Flake Dyson, the engineer, was blown out of the fuselage from the turret position, ending up between Rose and Tex in the cockpit. Then came the worst hit, behind engine number 4. Mac was knocked to the floor. The first warning bell rang. Chutes were grabbed. Flak suits were removed. The explosions were deafening, even with the headphones. Back in his seat, Mac was tying his boot when the plane went into a tailspin. He found himself face down, spinning against his harness. Keep your wits about you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Throttling engine 1 and engine 2, Rose shouted. Copy that, Tex said. The centrifugal force pinned everyone down. No one could parachute out. Rose throttled back on engines 1 and 2. Red righted itself. Mac exhaled with relief. Navigator came over the interphone. Set, Mac shouted. He reached for his instruments to calculate the new heading. We might make it. If only the fire blows out. We might make it home. Rose's voice came in over the interphone again. Red is not responding to controls. Rose shouted. There is an ominous pause. Then prepare to bail out. So that's the moment that gets captured in DNA.
Wow, wow. It's just so vivid. Because that's like, as I said before, I've not in the book, I've not read that book. That really came to life to me then. Yeah, you can see like it's, I think why, when you talked about your father and it's full of the session, you can see why he's been such a big influence on you and your mother as well. Because they're both creative people in their own ways. And that's why you always have your parents, they impact you what you are as a creative person. But it's interesting, neither mine are very creative people at all. Both big readers were not a creative person. And that's why. So before we conclude, are any of your siblings actually creative people like you? Are they all been more family people?
Every one of my siblings has an art form.
Oh, I knew they would. I knew they would, yeah.
Painters and my one brother, he carves light, whether it's through paper or pumpkins or watermelons. He carves in a negative way because the light is inside. So I think that that creativity and the idea of the hybrid versus the memoir part is that I wasn't in that airplane with Dad. And yet somehow I could read enough and find out enough that I knew what his experience was. And that's where some people have a hard time. Like, how could you write like you were there? But somehow it comes through in that channeling. And I think a little bit of it is the DNA memory.
Yeah, definitely. I can see it with it because like it's to do what you've done there. That's not almost nowhere near a straight biography. It's I've read it term before. I think it's called it's an emotional biography, possibly in some ways. But I like emotional detective novel more actually, honestly, with it. I've seen both called it before. That said, but you've really brought them to life with it, and I think it's something as a family member only you could have done. So that's why.
I think so too. I think so too, because there's a memory that we have that we have to tap and work hard to get it to come out. But it's a hard work of writing that it does emerge.
Definitely. You said, and that's why I want to bring you back on Spoken Label when your next book's ready as well, going about your ancestors in the 1800s. I want to see how you can channel that next, because I think It's like when he's your father, you knew him. Well, to a degree, you would have known him anyway. But I'm always of the opinion there's a certain level you can't always know your parents because they don't tell you everything. They can't sometimes. They forget themselves. I want to learn about your ancestor next, definitely. So when that book's out, get in touch with me. I'd love to have you back on here again. I'll get
Thank
loads
you.
of probing questions ready for that as well. So it's been a pleasure
Thank you
today,
very
Margaret.
much. A reader just sent it back to me and she asked, do you have journals that you're writing from? Because this sounds like you really get it.
I
So
was wondering about that myself for that, but I think we'll leave that to when the book's out because I can ask you a lot about that because I'm curious on that because your research and that would have been, I think, would have been quite different to what you've done with your father's books and your own book even. So we will leave our readers in suspense, I think, definitely till next time that one, Margaret. So, so
thank you very much, Andy.
please keep in touch and we'll bring you back on again. I promise you that now. So hang around because I do need to talk to you off microphone anyway tonight before we wrap up. But thank you again. It's been an absolute pleasure, this. And I said that from the bottom of my little heart. So,
Thank you. Really appreciate it. I love talking with you. I really appreciate it.
right, guys, because that's me done for another Broken Label session. As Don Callis at Impact, well, not Impact, it's AEW now, so I'm talking shit. As Don Callis over at AEW Wrestlers, and stay safe and stay over. We will see you all been well next time.